Hey Trans Youth Channel, it's Nick here, and I'm your new Wednesday guy. I am super pumped up to be on the channel. I'm excited to network and learn more about my community and also, generalize the community in a bunch of statements in a video that lasts about 5 minutes and make people smile. That's about it. So about me, I am 22 years old. I have been transitioning for about a month now. I started hormones in the end of June. Yeah. Sorry, I had to check the date. And let's see, I've been out as transgender for about a year and 4 months now. So the first topic I get to cover is super fun, labels, and I have to say I'm not the most educated on labels, but that's by choice. I could definitely go and read Wikipedia's jacked up versions of what transsexual and transgender and genderqueer and all those things are, but I found that really the definition changes from person to person, and what I've learned is if somebody identifies as something, then they're going to tell me about themselves, and then I get to learn about them, and that defines the label. The label doesn't define them. Does that make sense? So I let people define themselves. If they're like, hey, this is what I do, blah 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 blah, I'm genderqueer, then I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what like a genderqueer person is. I never just let a label generalize an entire group of people. So yeah, about me, how did I find out that I'm transgender? What was that process like for me? Okay, so I feel like my entire transition was like lighting one candle at a time in this dark space, and then by the time I made my way all the way around, I realized I was in a cave, and I was like, oh shit, I'm in a cave. A big transgender cave. But it really was like that. It was like one light at a time, and slowly it illuminated this whole issue. And yeah, it was a very long process for me. But once I found those labels and I found how I was feeling, I definitely identified with it. The word gender identity disorder was definitely right on for me. So yeah, I'm in a really, I'll be the first to say that I'm in a really awkward time in my transition right now, mentally. I'm not exactly sure of who I am. I feel like it's still a discovery for me, how much, whenever I found out that I definitely identify with the masculine side, I was like, oh yeah, masculine, boom. And then I kind of neglected, okay, how do I identify with the feminine side of things? Because I feel like I do still have ties and emotions with the feminine side of life. But so it's difficult, to say the least. How much do I identify with the feminine side of things? How much do I identify with the masculine side of things? I have to ask myself both of those questions. And I feel like I've neglected the feminine side of me. And all this was brought up by the realization that when I was a child, I would always pick out super powerful women in shows and say I was going to be just like them. Like Xena, the Princess Warrior, yeah, I wanted to be her. And The Fifth Element, that movie with the girl with the red hair, I wanted to be her because she kicked all those bad guys' asses. So I didn't identify with the men in those situations, which I find interesting because there was always men in those shows. Why didn't I want to be them? Why did I want to be a powerful woman? I don't know. So I'm overanalyzing that, of course. But right now, staying on track, happy with where I'm going. So overall, labels are, to me, defined by the community. So I don't feel like the community should necessarily seek out labels, if that makes sense. I don't think it's about fitting yourself into a box. It's about being who you are, and the labels that come with that come with that. I feel like whenever you present a label to somebody, it's like, here's a generalized statement about who I am, so you can have some sort of idea on how to take me. And then once you get to know me, you'll realize that I'm not like every other label. So yeah, it was a really short first video, but I feel like I said what I had to say on the topic. I'm not going to break down every single identity that you could have and talk about it, because like I said, we define those, they don't define us. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for having me. Peace.